The really interesting part of the SARS research in Toronto, when they had a small outbreak there, was that some of the people that were experiencing the SARS symptoms there had a post-viral syndrome for up to 3 years post their infection. Have you heard anything more about that type of thing, or do you feel as if
Yeah, we can expect people to have a post-viral effect from this. It's a very intense viral infection. It's more intense than most, isn't it? I mean, we don't hear too many people with, let's say, Epstein-Barr virus dying from the inflammation, right?
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
and yet they can come along with this post-viral syndrome, and there's many others as well. Chronic infections, and it may be, and we still don't know for sure, but there's certainly virus might resurface in people like chronic, like I should say, mono does. It can resurface when people are fatigued just from their stresses in life. So I mean, there are something like about 10% of some of the retests that they've done in South Korea showing up that people have got positive again. So there's some hint that we might be having that kind of event with this particular virus. And, because there's such an intense amount of inflammation going on in the lungs and the immune system actually, to some extent, attacking or aggravating the actual problem by this cytokine storm, then you've also got this basic inflammatory process that's often driving most illness. To quench, even if it doesn't go on to a post-viral, we've still got that factor to help people get over. I mean, a situation in Hong Kong is a little different to most places. A few of us, more like the bigger doctor surgeries, are actually finding they're referring, active COVID state patients. But a few of us are really meeting. It's only 1,000 something in Hong Kong, as we know. So, to a large extent, just winding back a little bit in the conversation, what can we do, given that we've got COVID out there for the next couple of years, so let's say year and a half until there's a decent amount of herd immunity? What can we do to minimise the risk of those patients who would like to travel and who might end up with COVID in that period? And to me, with functional medicine, you're always dealing with all those predispositions that lead to more inflammation. It's just a pretty straightforward equation in most cases, so that we know for sure that obesity plays a big role, metabolic syndrome, diabetes. Well, again, we might say, diabetics are a bit harder to manage, but gosh, there's a lot of people who are obese and have got metabolic syndrome, and they do see functional medicine practitioners like ourselves. And, they're under some kind of chronic stress. They probably have a bit of a gut problem like half the patients that walk in have, which is adding to their inflammation. They might have food reactions, and many of them have some kind of detox defects, and that leads to another whole thing if we go out the world of chronic fatigue syndrome in our conversation. So what I'm getting at is there's a lot of people that we want to kind of scare a bit about, actually it's not cool having a BMI over 27. You might have kind of a lifestyle choice factor and gotten used to it, but actually you've just noticed that people can die because of that, and it's like, pay attention. It's a big tap on the shoulder, and let's work on that while you're here. So I think that's the bulk of the people we can help, is to minimise their risks, so that they don't head off over this hill of excess inflammation if they would get the infection, and bring them down into a low level of inflammation, in other words, good health, wellness. So I think that's probably the bulk of people we can help, but then we are going to see these few strays that come in to our practices over the next couple of years, and they put their symptoms down to, I'm not well since I had that COVID flu, so I could say I'm knocked out. And what are we going to do with those folks?